welcome to today's YouTube video. In today's YouTube video, we are actually making another alternate future of the world video. Haven't done that in a while. And if y'all like this series, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get into the scenario. The first thing I'm gonna do is make capital cities bigger. And yes, I'm making them the same. Actually, capital cities should actually be they should be a different size as it's showing right now. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make them a different size. So, honestly, this size is pretty nice. And I don't know where their capital is, so I'm just gonna put it right there. Kiev also, there is, well, Moscow's probably already taken. So let's do St. Petersburg, Finland's capital, Sweden's capital, Norway. I forgot this city's name. Athens. Right here. Oh yeah. Actually, I think that was right. Yeah, I think they're still here. I could be wrong though. Anyway, Serbia's capital, wherever it is. Boom, boom, boom. I'm just plopping capitals where if I don't know where it is. I think Hungary's capital is right there. I think Slovakia's capital is right there. Austria's capital is right here. There, I think. Switzerland, I don't know where their capital is. I know Liechtenstein is probably right there. There is Belgium's capital, which I forgot. There is the Netherlands capital. And I think that's it for Europe. Anyways, probably the major city right here. Beijing is right there, so I'm gonna plop it down there. And for this China, their major city should probably be right. I think putting it right here wouldn't be a bad move. There we have New Delhi. That is kind of like a puppet state, I think. I could be wrong, or maybe they're the same color. I haven't done this series in a while, you can probably tell. But yeah. Anyways, now I think we're actually done. Wait, no, one more capital, which is right here. Anyways, there is something that happened IRL with Iran. The Iran missile crisis. And I did not show the end of it, so let's just see the end of it. Now you may be like, wait a minute, Iran looks the same. And do you want to know the reason why? Yes? Okay. Well, the reason why is actually because, well, Iran would most likely just get a government change. That's definitely all that would happen. And the next thing that I'm actually gonna have happen is invasion. Ooh. So, the Russian troops will cross the Ukrainian border and spark the Second War. However, Russia is a lot stronger now. However, still, Ukraine is a top 5 power now. So it's gonna be hard for Russia. Oh yeah, I forgot to show the Baltics. So I'm just gonna put a capital right there. Anyways, back to the battle. Ukraine will see success, even though it's looking bad. And also, I gotta put back the borderline. As Ukrainian soldiers will actually start to march in to Russia, going straight ahead for the capital. They will take a lot of land, almost fully destroying them. However, we will see more invasion over down south, where a spearhead, over in the other area, where a spearhead will sort of start to form. And with that, troops will start to withdraw. However, not troops you'd think. Troops that are from right here will start to withdraw. They're being smart about it, because if troops inside are doing it, then the troops still there could work. But this can also backfire with them possibly killing all of them and them just reclaiming all land that was lost. But for some reason now I cannot undo that. But Ukrainian troops will come back almost encircling it. However, they also will push back here and also do a spearhead of themselves to just cut off it to both sides. One area will work. However, the other will regroup with the other, making a pocket. However, these troops tell Ukraine something. They will work for them as long as they keep them alive. And the troops there were pretty strong. So, with these new armies, Ukraine is able to push back, but not for long, as even though they are top 5, Russia is strong too. I said that for the second time, though. Troops flood immediately back. Just like troops here start to encircle the capital. There is only 1 mile, one singular mile separating them, the capital, and separation. So what will happen is a huge amount of soldiers leaving this area. Tons of soldiers, because they remember what happened to Moscow, and they knew that they weren't gonna have that happen again. And Ukraine was able to keep the forces back so much that these forces aren't even bad anymore. And they are able to send all their forces here. However, they come here and they do encircle it. However, there is one thing Russia forgot about: the alliance. You see, NATO has been keeping this secret from every single other nation except for everyone in NATO. So, what they're gonna do now is every single nation in NATO will start attacking. First, the US comes up in this area. The US makes a landing right here, taking off all of this. Oh yeah, also I should probably just, there we go. So, what happens next is something crazy. Ukraine starts to back away their troops. And everyone is wondering why the troops are backing away. NATO was about to help them. They start to even distancing out. And then the US realizes what's happening. And little does the other countries know, the US also found them. Russia thinks they're all safe. Russia thinks nothing is happening. But the Tsar Bomba drops down straight right here near Moscow. What Ukraine found here was something crazy. Ukraine found the Tsar Bomba. And the US also found some. They found also some nukes. The Americans are smart with their nuke placement, though. They place it in the perfect spot where no radiation would get into Ukraine or get into Finland, but still would destroy the capital. And where I placed the Tsar Bomba was actually a joke. Ukraine also knew about that. So they actually placed it farther away. Probably right here in the middle of the Antarctic. So every single troop puts on radiation suits. As the radiation clouds are about to come, radiation has spread all around Russia right here. And radiation, this nuke had little radiation. The radiation cloud went right here. Some radiation was in the water, but most wasn't. And all of that radiation that did pour into the water, they drained the water somehow. But now Russia is falling apart. However, Russia still has nukes. So, where do they place the first nuke? since Ukraine was the one that did a lot of stuff, they placed a nuke right here that has a radiation cloud that's kind of big. However, some does affect their troops. But the radiation clouds, you don't have to worry about the radiation clouds. However, the U.S. went under some discovery and found where all of Russia's nuclear basements were. So they actually used their own nukes and even used some of Russia's nukes to launch straight in the area. And with all of that combined, that was enough to make Russia under a whole entire radiation cloud. Some radiation gets into other countries, but mostly Russia is done. So they take a peace treaty. However, this peace treaty is surprising. Let's see it. Okay, this is what the map looks like now. Every single country in NATO, except for Finland, Baltica, which is what I'm calling it, Ukraine, and I'm gonna technically the new Russia. All they are all they all got land. Okay, so the reason why this is green is because at this point it's just toxic radiation. However, Mongolia actually, the clouds went into Mongolia. So that harmed the population. And with Mongolia doing nothing, that was kind of expected. So, troops from the opposite side troops from the rebels started to they started to link up, and then this area links up, and now the middle of Mongolia is definitely gone. Why am I so laggy all of a sudden? Anyways, the Mongolian forces split them and start to attack them, because Mongolia is really such a weak country that literally Mongolia whatever. Hold up. What happened? But Ukrainian not Ukrainian, Mongolian troops, just get rid of them. We don't even need to see a peace treaty. We already know that. Okay, so one last event. And that last event is Mongolians suit up in hazmat suits. Why? Well, oh, that's why. So, if y'all liked today's YouTube video, make sure to like and subscribe, and see y'all in the next one.